In a nuclear war, cities and industrial areas would be bombed and they would burn. The fires would pump smoke into the upper atmosphere, which would block out the sun and make it cold and dark at the Earth's surface. The smoke would be in the layer we call the stratosphere above where we live. There's no rain there to wash it out, and it would last for years. We calculated how this would affect crops, how it would affect the availability of food around the world. And this is in areas far removed from where the horrific effects of the bombs would be felt. We found that a war between the US and Russia could produce 5 billion people dying of famine after 2 years. We calculated how many people would die directly from the direct horrific effects of nuclear war that we know about: blast, radioactivity, and fire. But more than 10 times as many people would die from starvation in the rest of the world, even if no bombs were dropped there. And so we did this for each country. We assumed that after a nuclear war, international trade in food would stop. And so once countries used up all the food that they had stored, which on the average is about 2 months worth of food, they would have to depend on what they could grow. Everywhere in the world would be affected, but the places at higher latitudes would be affected more because they would get too cold to grow any crops. So places like Canada, Russia, the United States, China would be very strongly affected. Countries in the southern hemisphere would not be as affected. Countries like Argentina, Brazil, and Australia. That's because they're at lower latitudes, so the effects of climate change wouldn't be as large, and it's surrounded by oceans. And also in these countries, the population is not that large, and they're exporting countries, and so they would be able to feed their people under some of these scenarios.